And so another element of shapes we need to know in functional skills level 2 is volume. And this heavily builds upon area. So if you haven't seen the area video yet, go back and look over the area video again. Or if you have seen it before and you want a refresher, it's on the channel. You can have a look at the area video. I say it's related to area because volume is similar to area, except where area and perimeter are flat and use 2D shapes, volume has depth and therefore has 3 dimensions, 3D shapes, like a cube, for example, here. This cube is made up of squares, and so to work out the volume of a cube, let's say this is 8 centimeters long. Okay? Yeah, just to make sure I didn't use the same measurement again. Let's say this is 8 centimeters long, okay? We're going to work out the dimensions of this cube. It's a cube, so we know that all of the dimensions are going to be 8 centimeters. So this is going to be 8 centimeters tall and 8 centimeters deep and 8 centimeters wide. And so to work out the volume of this, we're going to multiply the 3 dimensions together. We're going to multiply the width, the depth, and the height, or the width, the length, and the depth, whatever you want to call it. And so we're going to do 8 times 8 times 8, which we're going to get on our calculator. 8 times 8 times 8 is going to be 512. In this case, it's going to be centimeters cubed. And the reason why we put the little 3 is because we've multiplied 3 dimensions together. So similar to area where we multiplied 2 dimensions together, so we got a cm2, we're going to multiply 3 dimensions together, so we get a cm3, or centimeters cubed. Okay, moving on to the volume of a cube and cuboid then. We know that the formula for these is length times width times depth. So multiply the 3 dimensions together. And so with that in mind, we put that up here, what is the volume of these 2 shapes? Making sure you use the correct units. So pause the video, have a go, and I'll be there in a minute. Okay, so this is a cube. So we know that all the dimensions are going to be the same. So we've got 4 times 4 times 4, which is going to be 64 meters cubed. Be careful not putting centimeters in. It's going to be meters cubed because I've told you it's meters. Similarly here, we're going to multiply these 3 things together. So 10 times 5 times 7. In this case, it's going to be 350 centimeters cubed, like so. And so that would be the answer to those problems. If you got those correct, brilliant. If you didn't, then look over the formula again, make sure you understand why we multiply the 3 things together. You may have added them by mistake. It's easy to do. So we're going to move on from here. Good job if you got those correct. Similar here. Here's a slightly different problem. So can you work out what the area volumes were going to be for these? So have a go. See you in a second. Okay, so similar to the last problem, we know this is a cube, so it's going to be 6 sixes. So it's going to be 6 times 6 times 6, so 3 sixes. 6 times 6 times 6 is going to be 216 meters cubed, even though I was almost getting it wrong there. Meters cubed. And now we're going to do the same with this. So you would think we'd just do 9 times 0.06 times 12, but hang on. We know that this is in meters and this is in centimeters, so we have to convert this to centimeters, and they like to do this a lot where they throw in a random one that's at a different measurement. So we're going to convert this, which should be 6 centimeters if you converted it properly. 9 times 12 times 6 is 648, and so we've got 648 centimeters cubed. And that would be the answer for those 2. Again, good job if you got those right. If you didn't, go back over. The previous slide has the formula on, and then we can go and explain again from here. Alright, moving on from cubes and cuboids, which aren't too bad, we move on to the volume of a cylinder. So this is why I said it was really important to understand the area stuff first, because we're going to build on it here. We remember the area of a circle is pi r squared. And so we know we have r here, which is 7. So r squared is going to be 7 sevens, which is 49. So we've got 3.14 times 49, which is equal to our answer of the formula for that circle's area. Okay, so it's going to be 153.86. Okay, that is the area of that circle. So that would be the area of this circle here. But the formula of a cylinder to work out the volume is pi r squared, so exactly the same as the area of a circle, but with one extra step, which is h. And in this case, the h is the height of the cylinder. So this one's turned on its side, but it's still a height. So we've got pi r squared, which is the area of this circle, and we're going to multiply it. So far we've got cm2, or centimeters squared. We're going to multiply it by 15, if I can actually do it in not super case like this. It's going to be times by 15, 2,307.9, and now we're going to have centimeters cubed. And I've left it here on purpose like this, so you can see how I got there. When I times the two things together, I ended up with the centimeters squared. When I multiply it by a third thing, I end up with the centimeters cubed. And so we're going to have 2,307.9 centimeters cubed for the volume of this cylinder. And pi r squared h is the formula for the volume of a cylinder. So make sure you remember that. In fact, I'm going to copy it over here so you can use it to help you answer these next two problems. So try and tell me what the volumes of these cylinders are. Take a minute to pause the video and have a go. I'll be with you in a second. Okay, so I've been a little bit sneaky here, and on this first cylinder, I've given you a diameter. So we can't use this formula because we haven't got a radius, but we can work out what the radius is. If this diameter is 12, then the radius will be 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is 3.14 times by 6 squared, which is 36, is equal to 113.04. And I'd always write my method out in 2 steps so I can get marks. If in case I go wrong somewhere, they can see where I went wrong. And it's going to be centimeters squared. And then I'm going to take my 113.04. I'm going to multiply it by 20. That's going to be 2,260.8 centimeters cubed. And units are important for these kinds of questions. And so the answer for this is 2,260.8 centimeters cubed. You don't strictly have to do it in 2 separate sums, but I'd like to do it in 2 separate ones because it shows understanding. And also, if I made a silly mistake here, I could still get follow through for doing the right second method, even if I used the wrong first number. Okay, here, I've been more kind. I've given you the radius, but I've made this into meters again, so it's a bit wrong. So I'm going to have to change this. If you correctly change this, it would be 18 centimeters. So what I've actually got is 3.14 times 11 squared, which is 121, which equals an answer. So 3.14 times 121, 379.94 centimeters squared, because that's just the area of the circle. And if you want to be more clear, you could write area of circle equals and move on from there. I'm going to move this and make it a little bit smaller so that we don't run out of space. And then we'll actually move it up here. That's better. I can work down here now. Okay, so we've got our area of the circle. If we do 379, this is still in up, yep. 379.94 times by 18 now is going to give us our answer. 6,838.92 centimeters cubed, like so. We don't need to put the comma in. We can if we want, we don't have to. And that's going to be our answer for the volume of this cylinder here. Excellent job if you managed to get that correct. Yeah, and moving on from here, we've got a prism. I'm going to actually insert a slide here because there's something I need to add. A prism. Now, you'll be glad to know we don't have to actually remember the formula for working out the volume of a prism. Anything other than a cube, a cuboid, and a cylinder, you'll be given how to do in the exam. However, you need to understand what the formula is talking about, otherwise it will throw you off when you see it. So the volume of a prism is equal to the cross-section multiplied by the length. Now, what does cross-section mean? If you imagine this to be a cake, and I took a knife and I sliced the cake down the middle, what shape would I see? Well, I'd see the triangle on the front of this shape. So I've first got to work out the area of cross-section. If I'm going to be more specific, the area of the cross-section multiplied by the length. I'm going to work out the area of this triangle. So I've got my perpendicular height, which is 7. multiplied by 4, which is 28, and half it, which is 14. So the area of my triangle is 14. And I'm going to multiply it by 15. So the volume, V is equal to 14 times 15, which is going to be what answer? 14 times 15 is going to be 210. And this is going to be centimeters cubed because it's volume. And so that would be the answer for this. Because you are given it in the exam, I'm going to actually give it to you here to answer these questions because you need it to solve them. Have a go at solving the volumes of these prisms. Okay, so for the first one, I've given you all the same measurements, which are not too bad. 4 times 5 is 20, half it is 10. So the area of this triangle is 10. 10 times 20 is 200. So the volume of this prism is 200 centimeters cubed. Here, I've been a little bit more mean. I've given you one in millimeters, which I haven't done yet. There are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So to go from millimeters to centimeters, we must divide by 10. So I end up with 16 centimeters if I've done that correctly. Now we've got 4 eighths is 32 and half it is 16. So I've actually got 16 times 16. 16 sixteens is 216 if I'm not mistaken. Or 256, I am mistaken as well. Always good to check. 16 16 is 256. So we've got 256 centimeters cubed. Like so. I must have been thinking of something else that ends up with 216. Something cubed, probably. Right. So 16 squared is 256 centimeters cubed. So we've got 16 times 16. And that gives us 256 centimeters cubed for that one. Excellent job if you managed to get those correctly. You will be given this in the exam. So don't worry if you're not sure and you don't think you can remember it. You'll be given it. You'll be given it to work out a sphere or a cone or any other shape. You'll be given the formula to work it out. And those tend to give you all the information you need in a pretty digestible way. So it's not too bad. It's the cylinders and the cubes you have to remember how to do. Okay, I inserted a slide here because I'd like to tell you about volume and liquids. Okay, there is a connection between volume and liquids. We know that our units of volume tend to be things like cm3, m3. Sometimes, I guess you could have millimeters cubed, although you don't really tend to see it. We have a cubic measurement like this. cm3, m3, mm3, you could have kilometers cubed, although that'd be absolutely gigantic. We can also have liters, milliliters, and centiliters. And they are also measurements of volume. So while cm3 might be used for things like air in a space, or things like that, liters tend to be used for liquids, although not exclusively. And so these are also measurements of volume. The reason why I make it relevant, or why it's relevant, is because there is a connection between cm3, or centimeters cubed, and liters. And the connection you need to know is that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 cm3, or 1,000 centimeters cubed. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 cm3. That will be very, very useful. And sometimes it will be given in the exam, but sometimes it won't be, and you'll need to know what to do. So that's another way of saying that if 1 liter is equal to 1,000 cm3, 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cm3 as well. You can use that to remember. Okay, so I'm going to keep this in mind because the question that I've got for you, this exam question here, I'm going to put this up here to help you remember it. I'm going to read the exam question out to you and you get 5 seconds, pause the video. It might take you a few minutes to do. This might be worth 3 marks in an exam. I'm going to read the question out to you. Alfie wants to know the volume of 30 oil barrels. The oil barrels are cylinders with a radius of 30 centimeters and a height of 88 centimeters. They want to know what the total volume in liters is of the 30 oil barrels. So pause the video, have a go, and I will show you the working out in just a minute. Okay, so there's a bit of conversion and things we're going to have to do in this sum, but first I'm going to work out the volume of 1 oil barrel. If I imagine, you could do this as well, I'm going to draw what I think the oil barrel probably looks like. And you may get given in a picture in the exam, but if you aren't given one, I'd still draw one, even if it's just a crude sketch to sort of get an idea of what we're looking at. So they tell me that the radius is 30 and the height is 88. So this is going to be 88 and this is going to be 30. Okay? So what is the volume of 1 oil barrel? Well, I know that the formula for the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So it's going to be 3.14 times 30 squared, which is 900, times by 88. Okay? So if I do 3.14 times 900 times 88, I copy this and put it in my calculator like so. Oh, that's because I've done x's and it doesn't know what to do. I'll do it like this, like that. 88. There we go. 248,688 centimeters cubed. Okay? That's how many centimeters cubed I've got. And that's for one oil barrel. So that would be 1 mark or 2 marks maybe for this. How many oil barrels have I got? Well, I've got 30 of them. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to keep it in centimeters cubed for now. So I'm going to do 248,688 times by 30 because there's 30 barrels. That's going to be 7,460,640. 7460640. Make sure I've got that right. 7460640, yep. Centimeters cubed. Okay. And this is almost a completed answer. So there's one step I'm missing. They want the volume in litres, not in centimeters cubed, but I know that 1,000 centimeters cubed is 1 litre. So how can I work out how many litres it is? Well, I'm going to divide my answer by 1,000, and that will give me my answer. So 7460640 divided by 1,000 is going to be equal to our final answer. So divided by 1,000 is going to be 7,640, 460 even, 0.64 litres. And my unit is going to be litres. If they said to the nearest litre, I could probably leave my answer as 7461 litres or something like that. But if they don't mention it, just leave it as it's written. And so my final answer is 7,460.64 litres would be my answer. So excellent work if you managed to get that correct. If you got as far as working out the volume of one cylinder, then that's good. If you weren't too sure, then go have another look at the cylinder stuff a little bit earlier in the video to work out how we work out the volume of a cylinder. And then from there, it's just reading the question carefully to understand what we know what we're talking about. And that's all we need to know about volume at level 2. Thanks for watching.